France 24's own Shirley Sitbon is here for more on the situation in Gaza. Shirley, we're hearing that an evacuation like this is unprecedented. And just to put it in perspective for people, it's like trying to take half the population of Paris and move them out in 24 hours. It just doesn't seem feasible.
Under bombs and without electricity, without food, without aid, with many people wounded in the hospital, because in recent days many people have been wounded. So it's even worse than that. So that's what people are saying. This is really unprecedented. What is the goal? They're asking the people from the northern part of the Strip to delocate. But the UN says that's, as you said, is extremely complicated. The Israelis say the goal is to destroy Hamas infrastructure, to destroy the tunnels. Hamas says it has 500 kilometers of tunnels. They're used for smuggling various things, but also weapons, and also people, fighters can hide in them and launch attacks into Israel. So what the Israelis are saying is that they're asking for an evacuation so they can attack massively, and this is for the population's safety, they say. And the White House has also said that, well, there should be no Palestinian casualty, the civilian casualty, so that's why the evacuation is asked for. But the UN says this is mission impossible, this is inhumane, this is adding a huge tragedy to a tragedy, making everything worse. So the situation there is going to be extremely complicated. The UN says we cannot evacuate weak people, the elderly, so fast. The roads are broken. It's just impossible. Conditions are too complicated. But perhaps, the Israelis say that's the only way to go. Now, maybe the Americans who are, with Israel, are supporting Israel in this plan, maybe without saying it openly, are trying to find a way to limit losses. But it's not something that's obvious right away. It's all done, in closed rooms, those discussions.
Now, for those people who are willing and able to leave, what do we know about the conditions that are awaiting them in the south? Where are they going?
Where are they going? It's still blocked in the south. So, countries like Egypt, they were willing to bring in aid to help because they're with the border with the Gaza Strip. They said, we're willing to help bring in aid, but we don't want Palestinian civilians to come flowing into Sinai. So that complicates things. But of course, many countries are pleading for that, saying not only, of course, fuel and electricity should be restored, and water and food and aid, but also there needs to be a humanitarian corridor, not just to bring in aid, but also to help people leave if they want to, because the situation is so dramatic. People are traumatized. Imagine the situation. Anyone could imagine in these conditions. People have already faced so many wars, so many bombings. It's extremely complicated. And asking for this is something that's totally unprecedented. And knowing that they only have a few hours to do this and that their lives are at stake, it's just difficult. It's a great ordeal for them.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what the global reaction to this evacuation order has been?
Yeah, so we've seen across the world, for example, some countries saying that Israel must defend itself. The goal is not to attack the Palestinians, but to attack Hamas. The attack Hamas has led against Israel on Saturday was so huge that Israel must react. We've seen this in European countries, in Germany, France, and especially in the U.S., which is not only supporting with words, but leading officials are in the region to support Israel and maybe to try and limit the spreading of this conflict to other regions and to limit the scope of the operation and to limit the loss of lives. But we've also had many countries criticizing this. The Arab League met and said that not even the operation itself, but displacing so many people itself is a crime. That's what it said today. Countries like Jordan and others are saying that these plans should be reconsidered and canceled altogether, hoping for a humanitarian corridor as well, and hoping that this could be revised because, well, it's extremely complex. Antony Blinken has been meeting with various officials in the region, trying also to mediate, also an exchange of hostages and prisoners, and perhaps
a lot going on behind the scenes, I'm sure, that we are not privy to. And
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, among the reactions, there's not just the countries, the governments, but also the people. Today is Friday prayers across the Muslim world and across the world anyway, and many people feeling a terrible pain and protesting against what they see could be a greater tragedy coming up.
France 24 journalist Shirley Sitbon, thank you so much